After months of watching XRP grind lower, something just shifted. The charts are starting to tell a different story. Momentum is turning, and there's a political fight happening in Washington right now that could either fuel this move or completely stall it out. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what's changed, what the charts are showing, and what's actually happening behind the scenes with a piece of legislation that could shape XRP's next big move. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been holding XRP through this year's rough patches, today might finally feel like a bit of relief. We've got a genuine shift in momentum on the charts, a wave of institutional activity building on XRP Ledger, and a major political story out of Washington that's directly tied to crypto's future. Let's break it all down piece by piece. Let's start with price. XRP is currently trading around $1.13, and on the daily chart, it's formed something technical traders call an ascending triangle. If you're not familiar with that pattern, here's the simple version. It happens when price keeps making higher lows while running into the same resistance level over and over. Each time it fails to break through, buyers come back a little stronger than before. It's basically a coiling spring, and eventually, that pressure tends to release in one direction. On top of that, the Relative Strength Index, or RSI, has pushed back above the neutral 50 level for the first time in months. That matters because it signals momentum is genuinely shifting from bearish to more balanced, potentially bullish territory. If XRP can clear resistance and confirm this breakout, the next major psychological target on the charts is $1.30. That's not a guarantee, but it's the level technical analysts are watching closely right now. Now, before we get too excited, let's talk about what's still holding this back, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. XRP is still trading below its 200-day exponential moving average, which sits around $1.44. That's a longer-term trend indicator, and as long as price stays below it, the bigger picture trend is technically still negative, even with this shorter-term bullish setup forming. There's also a volume problem. Trading volume right now is still relatively low, which tells us the market hasn't fully committed to this move yet. Big money often waits for confirmation before piling in. They want to see a real breakout with strong volume behind it, not just a slow grind upward on thin trading. So the honest picture is this: the setup looks promising, but it's not confirmed yet. This is a watch closely moment, not a victory lap moment.
Here's where things get genuinely interesting. And it involves a fight in the United States Senate that could directly impact crypto regulation for years to come. The Clarity Act is a major piece of bipartisan crypto legislation that's been working its way toward a Senate vote. This bill matters a lot because it's designed to finally give the crypto industry, including XRP, clear regulatory rules instead of the current patchwork of confusion that's existed for years. But right now, this bill has hit a roadblock, and it's got nothing to do with crypto technology itself. Senator Elizabeth Warren has demanded that former President Trump fully disclose his crypto earnings by July 23rd, and she's tied this demand directly to the bill's progress. In other words, this major piece of crypto legislation is currently stuck in the middle of a political and ethics dispute that has nothing to do with blockchain technology and everything to do with Washington politics. This is a big deal because if this dispute drags on, some analysts are warning it could delay meaningful crypto regulation by potentially a decade. That's the kind of long-term uncertainty that makes institutional investors cautious about making big commitments right now. Now, here's the flip side. Despite this political roadblock, there was actually a positive development very recently. The White House reportedly reached an agreement on an ethics package tied to the Clarity Act, and that news alone was enough to help push Bitcoin back above $66,000, with Ethereum, XRP, and Dogecoin all rallying alongside it. So even though the core dispute with Senator Warren isn't fully resolved, this ethics agreement is being read by the market as a sign that negotiations are moving forward rather than completely collapsing. That's meaningfully different from the bill being dead in the water. Worth noting, though, on-chain data suggests that while retail sentiment is improving, the biggest whale investors haven't fully jumped back in yet. They appear to be watching from the sidelines, waiting for more confirmation before deploying serious capital again. While all this political drama plays out in Washington, there's actually some genuinely exciting technical progress happening directly on XRP Ledger that doesn't get nearly enough attention. RippleX, which is Ripple's development arm, has revealed that agentic transactions on XRP Ledger recently crossed the 1 million mark, and they're expecting that number to climb rapidly toward 10 million in the near future. For anyone unfamiliar, agentic transactions basically refer to automated AI-driven transactions happening on the network, essentially software agents interacting with the blockchain directly without a human manually approving every single action. This matters because it's a real signal of growing utility and adoption happening on XRP Ledger's actual infrastructure, completely separate from price speculation or political headlines. This is the kind of quiet, technical growth that often ends up mattering more in the long run than any single day's price movement. Let's zoom out for a second, because the monthly picture here is actually pretty encouraging. XRP is up approximately 5% for the month of July so far. If this holds through the end of the month, it would mark XRP's best performing month since July of last year. There's also an interesting historical pattern worth mentioning. 2026 is a midterm election year in the United States, and historically, midterm years have shown certain patterns in how risk assets like crypto tend to perform in the second half of the year. That's not a guarantee of anything specific happening this time, but it's useful context for understanding the broader environment XRP is trading in right now.
So let's put this all together into something actionable. On the upside, resistance sits in the $1.10 to $1.24 range. A confirmed break above that zone, ideally on strong volume, would be the real signal that this bullish setup is playing out, with $1.30 as the next major target after that. On the downside, the $1 support level remains the critical line in the sand. If that breaks, it would likely signal that this recovery attempt has failed, at least for now, and could open the door back toward the lower support zone we saw earlier this year. So here's the bottom line. XRP is showing its strongest technical setup in months, with an ascending triangle pattern and improving RSI suggesting bulls are genuinely starting to step back in. At the same time, there's a real political drama playing out in Washington around the Clarity Act that could either accelerate this move with real regulatory clarity or create more uncertainty if the Warren-Trump dispute drags on. Add in the quiet but meaningful growth happening on XRP Ledger itself with agentic transactions, and you've got a story with a lot more depth than just a green candle on a chart. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research before making any decisions. If you want to stay ahead of both the technical setup and the political story as they develop, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because both of these are moving fast right now. Let me know in the comments, do you think XRP breaks through to $1.30 this month, or do we see another rejection first? Let's talk about it down below. See you in the next one.